Malaysia had contactless payments before the iPhone even existed. While Americans were still signing paper receipts in 2010, Malaysians were already tapping cards to pay for their morning roti canai. This isn't just a tech story. It's about how a small nation quietly became a digital payments pioneer that Apple, Google, and Samsung are only now catching up to. Before we dive in, if you're enjoying this deep dive into Malaysian tech history, hit that like button. It helps more Malaysians discover stories about our own innovations. And if you want more content exploring Malaysia's hidden tech achievements, subscribe and turn on notifications. Trust me, we've got more surprises than you think. Assalamualaikum. Let's talk about something you probably take for granted, that blue and red card in your wallet. Picture this. It's 1997. The Petronas Twin Towers just opened. People are using floppy disks. Dial-up internet sounds like a robot having a seizure. And Malaysia launches something that won't make sense to the rest of the world for another 15 years, the touch-and-go card. Think about that timeline. Apple won't release the first iPhone for another 10 years. Facebook doesn't exist yet. Mark Zuckerberg is 13 years old. But here we are, tapping cards to pay for tolls on the North-South Highway like it's the most normal thing in the world. The touch-and-go card wasn't even supposed to be revolutionary. It was a solution to a very Malaysian problem: traffic jams at toll plazas. Anyone who's driven during Hari Raya knows exactly what I'm talking about. Those queues could stretch for kilometers. Cars overheating, kids crying in the back seat, someone's uncle yelling about how this would never happen in Singapore. But here's what's fascinating. While the rest of the world saw contactless payment as some futuristic fantasy, Malaysia treated it like basic infrastructure. By 2002, you could use touch-and-go for LRT, parking, even some retail stores. We built an entire ecosystem around this technology before most countries figured out how to spell RFID. Now fast forward to 2014. Apple launches Apple Pay with Tim Cook on stage acting like they just invented contactless payments. The tech press loses their minds. Revolutionary, they said. The future of money. Meanwhile, Malaysians are watching this presentation thinking, wait, we've been doing this since primary school. Here's where it gets interesting. The technology Apple used in 2014? Near Field Communication, or NFC. Malaysia's touch-and-go? Also NFC technology? Same core principle. Except we implemented it 17 years earlier with zero fanfare and a fraction of the budget. But this isn't about claiming bragging rights. It's about understanding why Malaysia moved so fast while other countries moved so slow. And the answer reveals something crucial about how innovation actually happens. Most people think tech innovation flows from rich countries to poor countries. Silicon Valley invents something, then eventually it trickles down to the rest of us. But contactless payment tells a completely different story. Because the truth is, necessity drives innovation faster than money ever could. Malaysia needed contactless payment. America didn't. When you've got toll plazas backed up for hours, you fix it. When your public transport system is expanding rapidly, you need a unified payment method. When your population is young, tech-savvy, and concentrated in urban areas, digital adoption happens at lightning speed. America had different problems. Their credit card infrastructure was already deeply embedded. Merchants had invested billions in traditional payment systems. Banks were making money from transaction fees. Nobody wanted to disrupt a profitable system. So they didn't. They waited until smartphones became ubiquitous, then finally made. Let me give you a specific example of how far ahead Malaysia was. In 2003, you could reload your touch-and-go card at 7-Eleven. This was 3 years before Twitter existed. 4 years before the first iPhone. The concept of mobile wallets hadn't even entered public consciousness. Yet Malaysians were casually walking into convenience stores to top up their contactless payment cards like it was buying a newspaper. And we didn't stop there. By the mid-2000s, touch-and-go expanded to parking meters, fast food restaurants, convenience stores. We built what Silicon Valley now calls a payment ecosystem. Except we did it with plastic cards instead of smartphones, and nobody wrote think pieces about it in Wired magazine. But here's the thing people miss. Malaysia's early adoption came with a trade-off. We got the technology first, but we got stuck with old technology. Touch-and-go cards from 1997 used the same basic tech as cards from 2015. We were pioneers, but we were pioneers of a specific generation of technology. Meanwhile, Apple, Google, and Samsung waited. They watched. They learned from everyone else's mistakes. And when they finally launched their mobile payment systems, they leapfrogged the card entirely. They went straight to phone-based payment with better security, more features, and seamless integration with other services. This creates an interesting paradox. Malaysia was ahead in adoption but behind in innovation. We normalized contactless payment before anyone else. But we didn't evolve it. We didn't add layers of functionality. We didn't integrate it with other services the way Apple Pay integrates with the entire Apple ecosystem. Sound familiar? It's the same pattern you see across Malaysian tech adoption. We're often early adopters, but we struggle to become early innovators. We implement technology brilliantly. We just don't always push it forward after the initial deployment. Take a look at Touch and Go today versus 15 years ago. Sure, there's now an e-wallet app. Yes, you can reload digitally. But the core functionality, still basically the same. Tap card. Money deducts. Transaction complete. We perfected that model in 1997 and then kind of stopped. Compare that to how payment technology evolved in China. They started later than Malaysia. But within a decade, Alipay and WeChat Pay transformed into super apps. You could pay bills, invest money, book appointments, order food, everything. They took the basic concept of digital payment and exploded it into something entirely different. Or look at Singapore's EZ Link card, which launched around the same time as Touch and Go. Singapore kept iterating. They added mobile integration early. They partnered with banks. They built APIs for developers. They treated their contactless payment system as a platform, not just a product. This is where Malaysia's story gets complicated. Because we weren't wrong to adopt Touch and Go early. That was brilliant. But we treated it like a finished solution instead of a starting point. We solved the toll booth problem and called it done. We didn't ask, what else could this become? Now here's what's really happening today. Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, all these systems that showed up decades after Touch and Go, they're slowly becoming the standard even in Malaysia. Not because they're fundamentally better technology, but because they're part of a bigger ecosystem that keeps evolving. Your iPhone doesn't just handle payments. It manages your loyalty cards, tracks your spending, integrates with your bank, connects to your other devices. It's not about the transaction anymore. It's about the entire experience around the transaction. And that's where Malaysia's early lead evaporated. But let's not end on a pessimistic note, because there's actually a huge lesson here for Malaysia's tech future. And it's not about beating ourselves up for not innovating fast enough. The lesson is this. Malaysia has proven it can adopt technology faster than almost anywhere else in the world. We're not technophobic. We're not resistant to change. Give Malaysians a technology that solves a real problem, and we'll adopt it en masse almost overnight. Look at how fast we embraced e-wallets during COVID. Look at how quickly food delivery became normal. The challenge isn't adoption. It's evolution. It's taking that initial success and building on it. It's not just implementing global technology, but developing our own and pushing it forward. Because the next wave of tech innovation won't come from who adopts first. It'll come from who iterates best. Touch and Go was a success story. 25 years of consistent functionality. Millions of daily users. Infrastructure that works. But imagine if Malaysia had treated it like version 1.0 instead of the final product. Imagine if we'd spent the last 2 decades building on that foundation the way China built on Alipay or Singapore built on EZ-Link. We were 20 years ahead of Apple Pay. We just forgot to stay ahead. So the next time you tap your touch-and-go card, remember you're using technology that was futuristic when boy bands were still cool. And the next time someone acts like Silicon Valley invented everything, remind them that Malaysia was already living in the future while they were still using paper checks. If this changed how you think about Malaysian tech history, smash that like button. Subscribe for more stories about innovations you didn't know came from our own backyard. Drop a comment telling me what other Malaysian tech achievements deserve the spotlight. We've been ahead before. We can be ahead again. We just need to remember that innovation isn't about getting there first. It's about never stopping once you arrive.